What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Monster Hunter video. In today's video, we are going to be reacting to Rathalos Watch again. He drops amazing content. If you guys haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you guys do that. This video is titled Monster Hunter Wilds All 30 Monsters Breakdown. I'm very curious to see the monsters that he has on here. I haven't been keeping count myself, but I'm excited to see this video. Guys, without further ado, let's dive in.
Welcome to Rathalos Watch. This is going to be part 2 of the Monster Hunter Wilds monster roster breakdown. This video will provide an updated total count of all monsters, including both large and small. We'll start by covering the large monsters first, followed by the smaller ones. After all that, I will give my personal take on what I think so far of the monster roster, and then I will proceed with predictions on what we might be seeing in the near future and when we might see it. If you're looking
I think we're not gonna see a snow area till DLC.
forward to Monster Hunter Wilds, or just like Monster Hunter in general, then make sure to subscribe. Without further ado, let's begin. Monster number 1, Chotacabra. Chotacabra is our new amphibian.
I love Chotacabra. I think Chotacabra is gonna be a nice little I hate to say it, but I think Chotacabra is going to be a nice little punching bag for all of us.
It is the very first monster that you will fight in Monster Hunter Wilds in terms of the chronological order of the story and encounters. He uses his tongue to attack enemies and also licks his own forelimbs to buff himself up by giving itself armor and more strength by applying stone and other earthen materials.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
In terms of visuals, it's probably the closest we've ever been to an actual looking frog, with Chotacabra being a close second. We're not 100% sure yet if it can appear in other locales, such as the Scarlet Forest. So far, we've
kind of reminds me of Tetranodon. I know it's not the same design or anything like that, but as far as just your learning monster, your learning little punching bag, it kind of fits that description.
Only seen Doshiguma making an appearance there, but not Chotacabra. So the answer to that question remains to be unknown. For a very early game monster, I think he's a good introduction based on everything I've seen of him so far.
I agree.
Monster number 2, Doshiguma. Doshiguma is a brand new fanged beast that utilizes the newly introduced herd mechanic. The largest of the group is the alpha leader who commands the pack. However,
I like this hunt too because you're fighting multiple monsters and they're all like fairly large, right? Like if you think of someone like Azuchi, right, from Monster Hunter Rise, Azuchi had other little babies with it, but they weren't as large as a Doshigama and their herd, I guess I should say. So it's going to be really interesting taking on this hunt. It's going to be really, really fun.
Alpha can be easily lured out using a luring pod or even a large dung bomb. In terms of looks, it looks like a giant grizzly bear mixed with a lion.
Yep, looks like Gossarag a little bit.
For its face. Probably the most grounded and believable monster so far in all of Monster Hunter Wilds when it comes to realism. While Doshiguma is indeed a native to the Windward Plains, we have also learned that it's actually a nomad and can be found roaming in different locales. In this example, we can see a non-alpha Doshiguma getting...
And I think what this fight here with Doshiguma is going to teach us is how to focus on one monster out of the 3, or how to separate that one monster out of the 3, or how to beat the smaller ones to then beat the larger one. I mean, that's 3 different lessons to learn.
Into a fight with Lalabarina, who resides in the Scarlet Forest. It seems that Doshiguma will be traveling alone when it comes to appearing in different locales, and full-on herd packs will reside in the Windward Plains. It has now also been confirmed that Doshiguma is going to be the second monster that you fight in the story in terms of chronological order, with the Chotacabra being the first based on the playable TGS demo, just like I theorized in my previous monster roster video. Overall, I like the simplicity and realism of Doshiguma. It's sort of like the Engineth equivalent of Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster number 3, Balahara. Balahara is the first brand new Leviathan that was introduced to Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah, now this monster looks very annoying. Hopefully it isn't like the Cetodrome where it just mostly stays inside of the sand and you gotta just chase it for 900 years. I really hope it's not like that fight.
Is a sand dweller and is the new monster that fills the niche of someone like Cephadrome and Nibblesnarf. Whether those two are going to be in Monster Hunter Wilds or not remains to be seen, but I do not believe so.
I hope
not.
From
a visual perspective, he's essentially a sandworm with some clam-like...
It really, really reminds me of Almadron for some reason, like a sand Almadron.
to his mouth and eyes, definitely inspired by the Dune movie and books. It's safe to assume that Balahara won't be making an appearance in any other locales, since this monster seems to be close to
just sand,
swimming in the sand. I doubt that Balahara is able to dig underground in
I wonder if they're gonna make like a lava type version of this monster.
more regular environments like the Scarlet Forest
or Snow
the
One,
Oil Well Basin, or the other ice locale if there is one. However, maybe there is some sort of an ice or fire subspecies of Balahara in higher ranks, or maybe G rank eventually.
Exactly.
We won't know until later down the line. Balahara is most likely the
so I think, you know, there's gonna be DLC. I mean, I know there's gonna be a DLC, right? It's been in every Monster Hunter game since GU, I guess. So I think we're gonna get snow at that point, and I think maybe a monster like this will be introduced, but the snow version of it, kind of like how World and Iceborne was like that, where you had Geratodus, and then you had whatever the ice Geratodus version. They both were stupid.
third monster that we are going to fight in the storyline in terms of chronological order. Out of all the monsters, I think Balahara is decent, but it's probably my least favorite so far. Monster number 4, Raidao, the first apex predator to be revealed from Monster.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Just because this monster reminds me of Astalos, Diablos, and what's his name? Zenogre. The design of this monster is really cool. I'm really excited to do this hunt.
Wilds, and it's also the first brand new flying Wyvern. Raidao,
and I forgot, it also reminds me of Gormagala too.
Is the big boss on Windworn Plains, so you do not want to mess around with him until you are ready and well equipped. He is quite chaotic and will fight whatever it is in front of him by utilizing his sharp blades that are part of his wings. He also has lightning powers and will gladly use them during turf wars against other monsters and his prey. I like his visual design a lot, and probably would say that he is one of my favorite monsters introduced to Monster Hunter.
I agree with that statement. I agree. Visually, it's beautiful. The design is nice. The hunt I just think the hunt's gonna be so fun.
Wilds. He kind of reminds me a lot of Rathalos mixed with Seregios and a little bit of Zenogre. I also really like his demonic looking face with all the horns and blades protruding on the sides of his face. It's safe to assume that he will be the 4th monster that we face in Monster Hunter Wilds in terms of chronological order, although that might also be incorrect simply because of the new monster that was just introduced by the name of Cumitris. And I'm not sure if Cumitris is going to be a mandatory hunt or an optional hunt. We will talk about Cumitris more in detail a bit later in the video. Monster number 5, Lalabarina. Next up, we have Lalabarina, who resides in the Scarlet Forest and is a brand new Temno Seren.
First and foremost, I want to say I absolutely hate fighting spider monsters. I absolutely hate it. Every single one of them. I do think their armor designs and their weapon designs are super cool, especially in Rise and GU. You know, Nursilla was really cool. Also, Ragna, or whatever the hell its name is, in Rise was really cool too. I just hate fighting them, and I just have this inkling that we're gonna have more spiders in the game.
That will be making her debut in Monster Hunter Wilds. She is an arachnid that is quite elegant and likes to move like a ballerina, hence the name Lalabarina. She can also use paralysis against the hunter and her prey. My favorite part about her is how she can turn herself into a rose when she enrages, and her animations are unlike anything we've ever seen before. She moves like a true spider that is quick and sudden. Capcom did a fantastic job in terms of bringing real-life spider behavior and movement to her character.
I agree.
I think she makes a great addition to the roster. I highly doubt you'll see her in any other locales, such as the Windward Plains. As a spider that she is, she needs her silk and webs, and I do not believe Windward Plains is a fitting environment for a spider. As far as when we will encounter her, I am not sure. Probably somewhere in the low rank when we first arrive at the Scarlet Forest.
And that makes a lot of sense.
She would be the first Scarlet Forest native we'd be facing, or maybe the second. Monster number 6, Cumitris. Here comes
Oh my goodness. I'm very torn. I think Cumitris might actually be my favorite monster that they announced. Just because I recently got chickens and it just looks like a chicken, which makes me believe that we may be seeing a Deviljho in the game. Who knows? But I really love this design, and I also like how it has a little tail swipe like Glavenus. This is going to be a fun hunt. I also think this is going to be one of the low tier monsters, kind of replacing someone like God, what's his name? Andronath. Or maybe it may be like a mid-tier, replacing someone like a Glavenus.
Who was recently announced at the State of Play back in September, right before Tokyo Game Show 2024. Cumatris is a brand new brute wyvern who happens to look like a giant rooster.
I love it.
Cumatris draws
I love it.
inspiration from a mythological creature known as the cockatrice from the Greek mythology. If you are curious to know about his visual design, then make sure to check out my visual design reading video by clicking on the card in the top right corner. Other than that, he is a monster that is native to the Windward Plains and is a scavenger who heavily relies on finding carrions, or also known as carcasses.
I love it so
He doesn't
much.
hunt or kill all the monsters unless he's attacked. Cumatris
Or you know what? It may like be replaced like a Puke type thing,
utilizes his tail to stir up fire and burn things to the ground, which is an interesting
but a
mechanic.
little stronger.
However, it seems that Cumatris is not very good at self-defense and easily gets jumped by a group of hungry and hostile tail-offs. It's safe to say that this is the only time you will see Cumatris engaging in combat. We do not know yet if Cumatris will appear in other locales, or if he's exclusively going to be residing in the Windward Plains. However, him being a scavenger who's looking for leftovers in order to survive
in a lot of
would
places.
suggest that he can be found in other locales. I'm not exactly sure when we will be facing this monster. He's most likely going to be a mandatory hunt, and the only reason why I say that is because in the State of Play trailer, we get to see a whole dedicated cutscene with Palicos running away from him and then bonking him on the head with a hammer. That looked like his introduction story in-game cutscene, so I do not believe he's an optional hunt. Whether we fight him before or after Raid Out also remains to be seen. Last but not least, we now finally know that Cumatris armor set belongs to the bow weapon showcase that we saw earlier back in August.
Oh, I didn't even put two and two together.
That it belonged to a snake wyvern. Other people said it was a bird. While they were technically correct that indeed it was a bird, it still ended up being a brute wyvern, so both of the parties predicted it incorrectly. Well played, Capcom. Monster number 7, Uthiduna. We finally got a review.
Oh my god, I am terrified of this monster. I am absolutely terrified. Just the sheer size of this monster and the way that it controls the water and how the how it fights in the water and it takes advantage of it. I think this fight's going to be a nightmare unless you go on land like they showed you that you can do. I think it's going to be a nightmare.
Scarlet Forest Apex also happens to be another brand new Leviathan alongside Balahara, and that is Uthiduna. Duna looks like some sort of a whale-like creature that makes tidal waves to attack and annihilate its prey.
Yeah,
it's worth noting that it normally
this fight
comes out during
is going to be really cool, but probably very annoying.
The downpour, which is Scarlet Forest's inclemency period. It's also protected by the veils by using water, and when you hit them, you will do a lot less damage. So there's going to be some strategy going on exactly how you want to combat this monster. On top of that, this monster also changes its colors completely when the downpour stops, which is really cool. And yes, you can also fight it on land, where it's much weaker, and it will be at a disadvantage.
The smarter thing to do.
Can essentially change dynamically on the go. I am really curious to know how Uthiduna reacts and interacts with other large monsters and what kind of turf.
Me too. Yeah, I stopped you when you were saying turf wars, but that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm very, very curious of the turf wars. And will the turf wars change if you're fighting the monster in water versus on land too? That's something to think about.
Can get into. One thing I am not sure of is if Uthiduna will appear in any other locales or not. If it is exclusive to Scarlet Forest,
it wouldn't make. I don't think it would.
Appear in the Windward Plains due to a lack of water. As for when exactly we will be facing this monster, I am not quite sure. But considering it's an apex predator of the Scarlet Forest, probably somewhere near the end of low rank or.
And also seeing something like this also makes me think that Legia Crest could be in the game, only because in Monster Hunter Tri, you're doing your underwater fights with Legia Crest, and it's super cool. In this game, they're showing you that the water has its own, it has a major role in fighting, right? So now this may not be underwater fighting, but maybe Legia Crest will also be found in this area too, and use the water to its advantage as well.
The start of the high rank. And also, did I mention that the armor for Uthiduna just looks...
Ooh, look at that. That looks badass.
Absolutely insane, man. Look at this crazy looking concept art. Absolutely.
Okay, where's the Switch X at? Oh, I see it. The third to right. That's cool. That's really cool.
Bonkers, man. The Capcom character artists and armor artists or whatever did.
It seems like they're following what they did in Monster Hunter Generations and also Monster Hunter Sunbreak / Rise. As far as weapon design, it looks very unique. It looks like it's from the monster and it's very bright, vibrant, so it just really stands out.
Standing job. Monster number 8, Arkveld. And then of course we have Arkveld, who is the flagship of
Oh,
Monster
yeah.
Wilds. Not much really can be said about him other than
The white
fact
race.
that he is an unclassified monster, similar to how Gormagala was unclassified in Monster Hunter 4. This monster was previously known as the White Wraith.
Or maybe this is who I got confused with, the one that I thought was like Gormagala. This is the exact one, right? But this fight's gonna be fun too.
That is his official nickname in the game's storyline itself. However, the monster's real name
Excuse
is
me.
Arkveld. A lot of people believe that Arkveld is either a flying wyvern or some sort of an elder dragon. However, Capcom confirmed that elder dragons weren't
They're not
as
gonna be a
prominent as
thing,
they were
yeah.
in previous titles such as Monster Hunter World Iceborne.
And I really like that idea, because that changes the whole concept of like Monster Hunter as we know it.
We haven't really seen Arkveld in game that much, only the small cutscene snippets from the trailer, so it's hard to talk about its combat style or anything of that sort.
And I actually like that. I like that they didn't spoil that. I want to see that in game, right? Because you saw that in Rise with like Magnamalo. You kind of saw what Magnamalo did. You fought Magnamalo in the demo, and it was a very easy hunt once you get to Magnamalo in the game. So I like that they're not spoiling that with him
We
or
also
it.
have no clue which locale it resides or comes from. The only information we have is that he has 4 different chain whips that are attached to him under his wing. These chain whips are obviously
gonna
going
be
to used
crazy.
as weapons. I can't say yet if I like him or not, but I think his mysterious origins could be a good story beat. I'm going to
I just like the general design, honestly.
need to see more of him before I make judgment calls. However, I would say he is more interesting than Nergigante is in terms of visual design, and on top of that, he is a monster that closely resembles an aesthetic from Monster Hunter Frontier, which is a huge plus. Many people want more Monster Hunter Frontier style looking monsters, and Arkveld seems to be following that direction.
Yeah,
We did
fitting
get
that.
Espinosa in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Perhaps Capcom is
Which was
finally
fun.
opening up to the idea of bringing over the Frontier monsters over to the mainline entries.
And I like it.
Monster number 9, Yankutku. One of the original monsters was announced to be making a return during the TGS presentation of Monster Hunter Wilds in an extended trailer clip. This made me so happy. Not only did we make a prediction that is now a reality that Yankutku would return in my Should X Monster Return to Monster Hunter Wilds series, but on top of that, we got
Good
a short
video.
glimpse of his new updated visual look. I love the way he looks, but I wish we just had a bit more footage of this silly goofy ass chicken so I can give it a proper analysis. Either way, I'm an OG player of Monster Hunter from the 2nd generation, so seeing Yankutku was super nostalgic and heartwarming.
It is pretty
I'm
cool.
also really
Maybe we'll see a Corpeco, and then we're good.
glad that newcomers get to finally experience the original teacher monster that taught you mechanics and combat of Monster Hunter. Despite the clip being really short, we did learn that there was a whole flock of docile
Yeah, there was a lot of
Yankukus,
them.
and that their native habitat is in the Scarlet Forest located on the 2nd floor of the locale. I am wondering how they are going to be introduced to the story and when we are going to
Me
get a
too.
chance to fight them. It was also confirmed by Capcom over at the New York Comic-Con Monster Hunter Wilds panel that the Yankutku is now indeed a pack monster like many have predicted. I cannot wait to fight
Yep.
a pack of these goofy ass derpy chickens so I can craft my chicken decapitator and go chop off Kumitra's head off. Monster number 10, Kangalala. The prophecy of Kangalala has been fulfilled. This monster was teased all the way back in August with the weapon.
It's so cool that they're throwing in monkeys again. I mean, obviously we fought Rajang in like every damn game since Rajang's been out, but it's cool to see him back. And then, you know, we also have the one that was just released the other day. I can't remember its name, but it's like the cool fire monkey. And I just think of what kind of turf wars all the monkeys are going to have like together. I am so curious. I think they're going to be so cool. Obviously, I think Rajang might dominate all of them. Well, I mean, I don't know. We have the new lava monkey. That one might be stronger than Rajang. I don't really know.
Weapon
We'll see.
showcases. When the dual blades videos dropped, all the veterans instantly recognized the Kangalala armor. This was another monster that was actually showcased during the developer livestream demo over at TGS. Capcom decided to be cheeky by randomly going over to the Kangalala and then fighting it. They decided to go all out and give us more than just a teaser, which was fantastic. Kangalala is one
Gave
of my
a good
favorite
show.
monsters. I just loved hunting this thing over and over again ever since I first encountered it back in the day in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite on the PSP. I loved everything they did with this monster in terms of its visual design and overall graphical updates. He looks way better than I expected him to look. If you want a deeper look at his visual design, then please check out my
And having
Rating the
his
Visual
little
Design of
homies on the
Kangalala
side
video
are
by
gonna be
clicking on
crazy.
the card in the top right corner. It's safe to say that Kangalala will not appear in the Windward Plains. It has never appeared in any of the desert locales in previous titles and always resided in more of the forest and jungle-like locations. So it's not
And
a
it makes
surprise that
sense.
Kangalala made an appearance in the Scarlet Forest. We do not know if Kangalala will be an optional hunt or not, but in most games, he is usually a mandatory primary hunt, so I don't expect it to be any different. Monsters number 11 and 12, Rathalos and Rathian. The next two...
Yeah, I mean, they're in like literally every single game. They're just like a staple. It's like you have to just have them in the game, just like Nargacuga. I mean, same thing with Nargacuga. I think Nargacuga is going to be in this game. Just because Nargacuga is a really good like learning monster too, just like someone like a Anjanath or a Barioth or Yonkutku. I think, you know, it's just a good learning monster. So it would be, I'm sure Nargacuga is going to be in it too. We have the sand area, so I could assume that a Diablos or hopefully a Monoblos will be in it. But yeah, I mean, these are just kind of staples to the game.
Confirmed large monsters that we know of are Rathalos and Rathian. While we did see Rathalos back in the original announcement trailer all the way back in December, Rathian was also finally confirmed in the panel showing over at New York Comic-Con for a very small fraction of a second. But let's be honest, it was obvious she was coming in anyway.
Yep.
Both Rathalos and Rathian always come in together as a pair, and it's not going to be any different this time around. Monster number 13, Rampopolo. We finally got the reveal for the much anticipated horror-esque hammer monster.
And I just want to say they did such a good job. Again, designing the weapons, designing the armor. They're just so bright and so vibrant, and they just look so cool. And it looks like an extension of the monster, like it actually does, right? So I really like that.
As many of us have predicted, including myself, that this monstrosity is not only going to look quite downright disturbing, but it will also be a poisonous monster, and it sure as hell was. It's native to the new locale that was revealed yesterday called Oil Well Basin, and yes, this is the volcanic slash fire themed locale. Rampopolo likes to hang out in the massive oil pits and then come out and creep up on any threats near it and its prey. I love his visual design. This is essentially the Giganox and Keza levels of creepiness.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like a disgusting creature, just like Kezu. Absolutely disgusting and, you know, very fearful. But I think the design of this one, I don't know, it kind of looks like a brain too. I don't know, but it's just disturbing. And like the toes, look at the toes. They're so like, I don't know.
Factor for the 6th generation of Monster Hunter. Deep down, I'm still hoping that Giganox is in the game, but we are going to have to wait and see. Overall, very solid weapons and armor, and in here we can even see a giant syringe that is a lance made out of Rampopolo.
Yeah, the syringe is so cool, and just again, you know, seeing something like this, it's an extension of the monster, right? It's this doctor-looking monster, or it just gives off that vibe because it has the mask or the face. It has the, I forgot what it's called, mask. It's in the Mel armor, but you know, it gives off this like doctor's vibe. It's a plague mask. That's what I was looking for. And having a syringe like this be the lance, dude, that's so damn cool. Like, I'm assuming the insect glaive is also maybe going to resemble some type of needle or something too.
A giant syringe that is a lance made out of Rampopolo. Yes, I can now poke monsters and inject them with poison. Absolutely glorious. Let me know what you think of this French-shaped giant inflated balloon that's filled with poison in the comments. Monster number 14, a Jarakan. Looks like Rizhang has found his long-lost cousin that ended up in a freak.
Like I said, the turf war between this and Rizhang are gonna be, it's going to be madness, right? Because they're obviously going to put Rizhang in the game. That's my guess. I just think it's obvious, right? Because Rizhang's been in like every single game. So the turf war between the two are going to be absolutely insane. And I'm so curious to see who's going to win.
Accident and managed to escape alive, but is back with a vengeance and is equipped with a fire element and a rocky look. A Jarakan is a brand new fanged beast that likes to hang out on pipes and swing around, similar to how Quetzalcoatl likes to swing on webs. This is another monster that is native to the Oil Well Basin. We are also not 100% sure if it's a pack monster or not. However, I did want to note that there was a part in the trailer where there were two of them running around the hunter for a few seconds. So maybe there is an alpha leader or something, but we're not 100% sure yet.
that does not sound fun.
Official website also has not stated that it is a pack monster, so who knows. I do like the fact that we are getting more fanged beasts, and you guys know me, I love my monkey monsters. I just hope that the existence of a Jerakan doesn't mean that Rajang won't be in the game. I love to see these two fight. Rajang will most likely be a title update or a G rank expansion edition at this point. Let me know what you think of a Jerakan in the comments. Monster number 15, the Black Flame. Then we have the Black Flame.
Oh yeah, this thing kind of reminds me of Gazmagorm or whatever the hell its name is in Monster Hunter Sunbreak. It's just weird, quirky looking. I guess it kind of looks like an octopus too at the same time. I don't really know, but I don't know. I'm excited to fight this monster. It just looks a little weird and throws me off. So I'm very curious of like what they're gonna do with the weapon design and armor design.
Happens to be a freaky looking octopus monster and is also an apex predator of the oil well basin. There was very little footage of this monstrosity. I will say though, a flaming octopus is not something I expected to see in a volcanic place, let alone being on my bingo card.
Yeah,
I
it's
will
pretty
be
cool.
very brutally honest, I'm not sure how I feel about this monster. For some reason, it didn't really grab my attention that much. From a creative perspective, it's very cool and looks dope for sure, but I think I would have preferred a more traditional water-based octopus somewhere in the Scarlet Forest. But hey, then we have Uthuna already with her amazing armor and all that, right? Hey, maybe that's an idea for a subspecies later down the line. It's hard to make a judgment call right now. I'd have to experience the fight for myself and see how it looks, moves, and interacts with the world in person. So in a nutshell, I am not going to be making any final decisions on whether it's my least favorite monster or not. It would not be fair without experiencing the game first. Otherwise, this is a pretty cool looking monster, so kudos to Capcom for creativity. Monster number 16.
Look at the Switch Axe, man. The best weapon in the game.
Switch Axe monster. The Switch Axe monster is the only large monster that we have yet to see.
I don't know, it looks like it's some sort of like spider. It really does. I don't know if it will be, but it just, I don't know, that's just the vibes that I'm getting from it, is some sort of like spider.
Capcom reveal out of the weapon showcases videos. We already know it's an ice-based monster since you can see the ice effect anytime the weapon connects and hits the monster. Whether it's a Carapacean or a Neopteran remains to be seen. I just hope it's not another Brute Wyvern because I did not expect Rampopolo to...
And since it's the ice weapon, I wonder, because they haven't shown us any ice locale, maybe ice won't be DLC.
Be a Brute Wyvern at all. I don't believe anyone else did either. Many people thought it was going to be some sort of a bird wyvern or an amphibian, but it turned out to be a Brute Wyvern out of all the things, which I find rather odd. So yes guys, hopefully we'll see the Switch Axe monster soon.
I mean, maybe we'll see it in trailer 6, but I'm assuming, I don't know, maybe I feel like it's some kind of bug, right? Could be a spider, maybe like a praying mantis or something. I don't know, like an elegant bug is what I feel like it's gonna be.
I assume it's going to be revealed in December in the ice locale, honestly. But yeah, as I said, I believe it's either a Neopteran or a Carapacean. Alright, we are done with the large monsters. We are going to be covering the small ones now. Monster number 17, Kanga. One of the new small returning monsters is the Kanga. Kangas can be usually found around Kangalala. I originally thought that the Kangalala would be treated like a herd animal similar to the Doshiguma. However, this is not the case here. It seems Kangalala
little baby
can be wandering
herds
on its own without the Kanga. You usually find them together in one place, but for some reason they don't seem to act like a whole dedicated pack like a Doshiguma would. There is a difference there, I believe, but maybe I'm completely wrong and Capcom does consider Kangalala a herd monster. I am not really sure. Monster number 18, Purican. A new small monster was spotted on the Scarlet Forest by the name of Purican. I am not 100% sure if that is the correct spelling or pronunciation, but what we do know is that they only hang out in the shallow waters. They do not attack the hunters on sight and will only do so if you are injured and sitting at a lower health than normal. So if you are fighting a large monster and you are low on HP and then try to run away, then the Purikans will start chasing you. I think that is a really cool mechanic and it creates an interesting immersive dynamic.
I agree.
Monster number 19, new small bird. There was another new small monster spotted in the Scarlet Forest. It was a bird, and you can also use your hook slinger to grab an item out of it called
That's pretty cool.
Slinger Bullet, and the description of it says load slinger penetrator bullet and fire it. Penetrate the landing site and deal damage, which essentially sounds like some sort of a pierce pod.
That's
Thanks to
kinda
a
cool.
YouTube comment by Bear So Mellow, who was able to translate the Japanese text into English for this, so shoutouts to you, friend. Sadly, we do not have the name of this bird, and we do not know if they can appear anywhere else besides the Scarlet Forest. Monster number 20, Gajao. During the fishing segment of the TGS Scarlet Forest demo, a small returning monster was spotted in the water. It is a fish called Gajao.
Get our whiskers and
3. It made an appearance in
fin.
every single generation except the 4th generation. Nice to see an old school 3rd gen small monster making a comeback to the 6th generation of Monster Hunter. I'm going to assume they will appear in most locales that have water in them that runs deep enough. Monster number 21, Dalthodon. Dalthodon are the new herbivore ram-like creatures that reside in the Windward Plains.
The ones that you just kind of get your meat from, right?
With TGS, we've now also learned that they're not exclusive to the Windward Plains and can also appear here as well. In the new trailer, we can also see the Dalthodon being used as pack animals that can be tamed at the very beginning. At first, I thought it was a new monster, but then realized it's just luggage all tied up on the Dalthodon's back. You can tell it's a Dalthodon by looking at its crown. And yes, this is in the new locale, Oil Well Basin. Monster number 22, Keranatoth. The Keranatoth are creatures that blend reptilian and pangolin-like traits, featuring tough overlapping yellow-brown scales and prominent spikes along their backs. The larger males, distinguished by their more pronounced spikes, take on the role of protectors for the group, making
Yeah, so once you attack one, they all kind of swarm you, is what I'm assuming.
them a crucial part of the ecosystem in Monster Hunter Wilds. It's safe to say they only appear in the Windward Plains simply because they were nowhere to be found in the Scarlet Forest during the TGS Live Developers demo. Monster 23, Gaijos. We finally got to see more of the Gaijos, who looks like an alligator with a really funny looking
Yeah, looks like a Psyduck, kinda.
saw-like jaw. In the Scarlet Forest footage, the poor Gaijos decided to join the fight between
And it's getting paralyzed.
the Uduna and the Hunter, only to get paralyzed later and then beaten to oblivion. Previously, they were only seen in the Windward.
I'm hoping this paralyzing weapon is like really, really strong. This is the one from Lalabarina. I hope it's really good because I'm a big fan of like status weapons, and paralyzing is like really cool, but there hasn't been one as far as the Switch Axe that's like super dominant, right?
Plains, but the new footage confirms to us that they also reside in the Scarlet Forest as well. You can also rip off their tooth and use it as a bleeding pod on a wound on a large monster to deal massive damage. Monster number 24, Balakchi. We finally got to see more of the Balakchi from the TGS 2024
The little weird
demos. Here's some
bugs.
better quality footage from a Japanese content creator who got to play the story mission mode. Sadly, they do not fight them, but they do get close enough to where we can finally see them in full detail.
Oh, poor Chadacabra.
Like their visuals.
The Switch Axe looks so damn cool.
Aesthetic, and it seems they are always in a pack.
I can't
have no clue
wait.
if they attack larger monsters, but it doesn't seem to be the case. We also don't know if they can appear anywhere else besides the Windward Plains. Monster number 25, Baunos. We also got a much closer look at Baunos, who happens to be the new Wing Drake, but unfortunately not
Oh, I
for
see
that
it
many
now.
seconds. So here I'm just going to freeze the frame so you can get a better look at
I
it
see.
here. It's worth noting that you can use your slinger to rip out its throat and use the kill as a sonic bomb. Pretty gnarly and quite useful if you ask me. Monster 26,
quite grim.
Tail-Off. We finally got to see more of the Tail-Off in action. These are essentially the new
Like the
raptors who
Jaggies
reside
and
in the Windward Plains. They like to attack other large monsters. We saw them attacking
Look at their mouths. Holy crap. Those guys got some chompers on them.
Humitris earlier, so here's the clip of that once again. I'm also not sure if they can appear anywhere else besides the Windward Plains, but I don't see why they wouldn't make an appearance in the Scarlet Forest. Monsters 27 and 28, new Raptor X and new Small Monster X. The new trailer also
Those are some thick little alligators. Or they look like salamanders, actually.
showcased a pack of new raptors we've never seen before. These things have really interesting heads, and we can see them attacking.
Yeah, they
other
look cool.
small
I wonder if these raptors are going to have a bigger raptor, right? Like Great Jaggy and Baggy and all those other guys. I wonder if these guys are going to have one too. And same thing with the last ones, the one with the chompers.
monsters. Unfortunately, I do not know what the names are of these two new monsters, so this is why I went with new Raptor X and a
Because I feel like every raptor monster that's been in the game, like the small monsters, had a larger version of them.
new Small Monster X. Regardless though, small monsters are still part of the overall monster roster, and I will be adding them to the list. Let me know what you guys think of these monsters in the comments. Monster 29, Aptonoth. We know they are in the game in one shape or form, but we haven't seen them in any of the locales yet. I'm not sure why we haven't seen them yet, but who knows. Here's a picture of the Aptonoth again from Monster Hunter Wilds, in case you haven't seen it being spotted in the Windsong village in the Windward Plains. experience. In case you are new to Monster Hunter, I must let you know that the Aptonoth are an old school monster from the very first generation of Monster Hunter. It is the first monster that you kill for meat and learn how the cooking mechanic works. Fun fact,
I do remember that in Try.
Missing in Monster Hunter Rise. 30th monster.
Wow. It really was. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
Sacred. Last but not least, we have our Sacred as the small monster. This monster is an integral part of Monster Hunter Wilds mechanics. You will be spending time with your Sacred pretty much throughout the entirety of Monster Hunter Wilds.
I'm very curious about the Sacred too. I wonder if it's gonna like have a level up system, kind of like how your Palicos do. And does it get different equipment and stuff like your Palicos do? I'm very, very just curious.
The game is now much larger in both physical landmass size and scale, so you need some sort of a creature to traverse, and the Sacred is your answer. And yes, you can customize it and do all that good stuff. How the customization works exactly, we are not sure yet. You can also switch weapons while you're on it, glide by jumping off high vantage points, and even wall run to get across certain platforms. Some areas are only going to be accessible only by using the Sacred. Okay, now that we're done going over the entire updated monster roster of Monster Hunter Wilds, it looks like the total count is now at a total of 30 monsters, including both large and small monsters. If you made it this far into the video, make sure to comment "I love Rathalos Watch." So what do I think of the overall monster roster so far? It's obviously not final yet. We have yet to see the rest of the returning monsters, which in my opinion,
I mean, I personally like what we're getting here so far, right? I think that the depth is really nice. I think they're hiding a lot of things from us, which is really good too. I don't want them to show every single monster and every single thing. So the fact that there's some that are kind of tucked away is really nice. I hope this base game is better than World's base game. I don't mean that to say that I didn't like World's base game, but I just hope it's better.
Will play an absolutely massive role in regards to the final rating of the roster. But if we are comparing it to Monster Hunter World, the difference is just night and day. Much better variety and way less flying wyverns this time around, thank God. For the record, we have 2 new Leviathans including Uduna and Balahara, 2 new fanged beasts such as the Doshiguma and Ajarakan, 1 new amphibian.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of variety, which is really nice.
Who happens to be Chotacabra, and then Raidao being the new flying wyvern. Of course, Lalabarina is the 3rd new Temnoceran, and then we have 2 new brute wyverns including Cumitris and Rampampolo. We have yet to see a brand new fanged wyvern, new bird wyvern, new snake wyvern, new Carapacean, or a new Neopteran. Hopefully Capcom has left a ton of cool surprises both in terms of returning monsters and brand new ones. With that being said, I will do another update once we get more of the monster roster revealed, hopefully either next month or sometime in December when Capcom will finally reveal the ice locale, because that's just what I'm assuming it's going.
Yeah, I mean, that only makes sense in the next trailer, right? We've seen everything. Ice is obviously in every single game too. And like Wrath was saying before, with the Switch Axe, we know it's an ice weapon. Obviously, you get it from an ice monster. So ice is obviously going to be in the game. I, for a split second, thought it was going to be DLC like how it was in Iceborne. But them showing the Switch Axe being an ice weapon only makes sense that it's going to happen like early in the game. So I'm assuming for the 6th trailer, right? Same thing, just like the 5th trailer. I think they're going to have a ice locale. I think you're going to have your apex monster. And I think they're going to show 2 more monsters. Maybe one's new, and then the other one's going to be Gammoth.
Going to be at this point. We have yet to see what the Switch monster is all about. I'm hoping that they will at least reveal 1 more or 2 more returning monsters. I'll be happy if I see Blangonga and Ursula. I think like Icarus will be either saved for pre-launch reveal, or we will just discover him in the game on our own without any.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely going to be one of the 2. But if Legiacrest is in the game, I don't even know what to like say, actually. I have no idea. But if Legiacrest is in the game, everyone's going to go crazy, including myself, because they're showing the depth of the game. They're showing that you can have really big monsters in the game. They're showing you can have monsters that fight in the water in the game. There's no way that Legiacrest does not make this roster.
Any kind of marketing material or publicity to surprise the players. I am quite confident that like Icarus does exist in the game, guys. Also, it's worth noting that Capcom seems to show new monsters in a batch first in new trailers, but then sprinkle some returning monsters afterwards randomly. Hopefully they'll drop some sort of a returning monster reveal on Twitter or their social media channels on October 31st. I am not sure if we can expect another round of news or reveals in November, but I am 100% positive we will see something new at the Video Game Awards 2024 on December 12th.
Absolutely.
Most likely, the ice locale, along
with Gameth, I can promise you Gameth is going to be there.
Some new ice monsters, and hopefully the return of Blangonga. Anyways, that is it for the Monster Hunter Wilds monster roster update. Let me know what you all think of the roster so far, and if you are satisfied with how it's shaping up in the comments.
Honestly, I love it.
The visual design ratings are coming like always, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe with notifications turned on. Peace out and happy hunting.
All right, guys, another banger. We're going to give this video a thumbs up. Appreciate you, Rathalos, for the amazing video again. Man, I'm excited. But I'm excited just to see the direction of this game. Again, my predictions for the next trailer, I already said what they were. But Ice Locale, 3 different monsters. And I'm assuming they're going to bring in Gameth. I mean, it only makes sense. If you have something like the big water well dude, who's just massive, that just shows you that you can have a really big monster in the game, right? So it only makes sense that Gameth comes back. If this game adds Gameth and Legiacrest, this is going to be the best game of all time. But guys, if y'all are not subbed to Wrath, please sub. Make sure you like the video. I will have both his name and this video in the description. And with that being said, guys, I will catch y'all in the next one.